James. I think that's pretty funny, but it's very fitting as well.
And his second consecutive Driver of the Year.
You were a unanimous winner.
They finished 1-2 for the O'Brien Award last year.
I want to congratulate Doug McNair. Can't imagine a year someone have like that and not win. I got nothing to add to that, boys.
Welcome everybody to the Woodbine Mohawk Park studio beside the paddock here. Randy Waples, I'm going to be one of your actually I'm going to be your only host tonight there. The lovely Lisa Blow called in a little bit sick. She's been fighting it for about a month now. Finally, she had to take a night off. So best wishes to Elise out there. Hope you're watching. But do have a pretty nice co-host there that slid into the seat there beside me there too. King James MacDonald. Do you mind if I call you King Jim? I mean, the King James thing's just a little bit, you know, that's a little bit up there. But is King Jim okay with you?
That's, I think you always used to call me Jim when we raced against each other. So yeah, King Jim's fitting.
What about the Fry guy?
You can call me the Fry guy if you want to.
Now, you know I've done my homework on this interview there because there's somebody out there that actually told me that at one time you were known as the Fry guy. Give us a little bit on the Fry guy.
Well, I don't know if I was 100% known as the Fry guy, but to Mark and Anthony, I was always the Fry guy. I used to work in the canteen at the racetrack at the CDP, or the CDPEC, I think they call it now. So everyone used to come, and if you wanted a chicken burger or fries or whatever, I was your guy.
Okay, so we're going to go back to James. I figure you've done the Fry guy enough, and over the last 3 or 4 years there, you know, King James is a little bit more fitting than the Fry guy that's out in the winner's circle all the time.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a run, and I'm just soaking it all in and just trying to enjoy every minute of it. But hopefully I don't have to go back to the Fry guy anytime soon.
I don't think so. Okay, so our biggest focus is on what happened to you on Saturday night, but we want to talk about a few other things too. Now, number one, here's your career stats, and it doesn't look like fries that you're eating there right now. What's this picture here of, and how old would you be?
Oh, probably 13 or 12. It's a sugar cookie I'm eating, I think, at my grandmother's, probably this time of year at Christmas time. So, yeah, it was... It looks like a good cookie.
You seem to be pretty happy about it, yeah. Okay, so career-wise, I mean, those are some pretty impressive stats, James. You must be really, really happy with that. You're closing in on 3,500 wins lifetime. You know, you're over $60 million already on total earnings. And some of these wins, I mean, that is amazing. That's a highlight career, just that. And you got a long ways to go to add to that list. But let's just quickly go down that list. That's the 2017 World Driving Championship, 2019 and 2020 Canadian Pace and Derby, back-to-back, 2021 Maple Leaf Trot, 2021 Battle of Waterloo, 2022 Juravinsky Cup champion, top Ontario Sire Stakes. No, that's the Juravinsky Cup. That's the Flamborough race that used to be the Confederation Cup. You obviously won the Lampman Cup, is what I was thinking. Top Ontario Sire Stake driver. Is that the first year for you, the Lampman?
No, I've won it the last 3 years. So.
The last 3 years. Wow, Mr. Ontario Sire Stakes there. So it's been quite a go. You know, we're just going to talk a little bit about Saturday night. And then actually kind of what carried on into Sunday as well. So let's kind of start a little bit about Saturday night here. Now, Saturday night was not a nice night for racing.
No, it was horrible out there. It was muddy and cold and just miserable. And
you sound like maybe you're still kind of feeling a little bit of the effects.
Yeah, I apologize to everyone. I'm battling a little cold right now. I've had for the last couple days. I think my body knew I had a vacation coming Wednesday, so hopefully I can get over it for Wednesday.
Now, just quickly, because, I mean, they've asked me this question a million times, and I've tried to explain it my way, but maybe you can explain it your way there. Just how miserable of a night is it when you got to race in conditions like that, be completely soaked all night, out in the cold weather, and sitting in a puddle of water all night? Like, just how bad is it?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like I always say, especially when it's cold in the summertime, mud it is what it is. But when it's +1 or 2 and raining and windy and cold, like I'd take -40 any day over that. So it was just a terrible night, and hopefully we don't have another one like it anytime soon.
Do you notice how warm and dry in the studio it is here?
I actually have noticed how warm and dry it is. I can see why you like it here.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's talk about a few other things. Okay, so Saturday night, it was a horrible night of racing. You win the first race, and that's a horse that I would like to kind of touch on lightly too, if I could, Salzbrook Ian. Now, this horse has looked very, very impressive. First start was a winner. Win the leg of the valedictory the other night there. You stuck with him. You had other options, and you had a pretty good option. I think it was Leave It to Luther.
Luther, yeah.
You stuck, and he really looked good out there. Give us a little thoughts on Salzbrook Ian.
Well, I was fortunate enough to know a little bit about the horse because a good friend of mine back in PEI, Jamie Smith, trained him. So I talked to him quite a bit and felt like I knew more than most would about the horse going into it. So it was good to get a qualifier behind him too, kind of see what he was like. And then his first start, he was awesome. And I think he's just kind of rounding into form. I think maybe not rounding into form. He's always been great, but I think off a helmet, I think you'll see even a better horse. He's so fast for a piece, and you know he's done it easy so far. And obviously he's got a big motor, and I'm hoping he can keep improving.
A big future.
Yeah, for sure.
Good for you. And is that the Jamie Smith that I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
He used to be here.
Smitty used to work for Mike MacDonald. And,
yeah.
worked for
The
my
night that
brother,
he
Anthony.
win there, I seen the trainer change, and I said, and I think I said on live TV, this is the James Smith that used to be up here with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, congratulations. He's a good horseman.
Oh, terrific horseman.
Yeah.
That's who I love to give him a shout out anytime I can because he taught me basically everything I need to know in harness racing. When I came up to work from Anthony, I was pretty green, and he took me under his wing and really worked me hard and showed me what it was like to be a horseman. So. Oh,
fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to take a look. This is the last 5 years of your earnings right here. So you 2019, 3.9 million. That's a good start right there. That's a heck of a good year. Then you upped it a little bit the next year to 2020 there and added on about another $500,000. But boy, huge jump to 2021 now. All of a sudden you come up with an extra $3 million there. Only in 300 more drives, your average skyrocketed from 236 to a 317. Your win total from 179 to 322. What happened from 2020 to 2021? Did something happen with James MacDonald, or did the horses get a lot better?
Well, I think we touched on it a little before we came on air about when I went to the States to live with my brother Mark, and you know, I can't explain. I've had 100 people ask me why when I came back from the States I seem to be more successful or seem to have more luck, but all I can do is like this is 2019, I believe, or 2000. Yeah,
Courtly Choice.
Courtly Choice is a huge win. So I was able to win some big races before, but I just wasn't able to do it on a consistent basis. And I think just going down, and you know, I was pretty timid and pretty nervous when I went down there. Not vocally, because I'm never very timid or nervous vocally, but
that's the MacDonald coming out of you.
As a driver, I think I still had a lot to learn, and just going down there, being around Mark day to day, and seeing what he does, and then just having some success. I think I brought that back with me and kind of came back with attitude that I could race against anyone, and it's just confidence. You can attest to this when you're racing horses. When you're confident, you can do anything, and I've just been riding a real confidence high for a few years for sure.
Oh, that's terrific there. Okay, so we did see that one. So now let's keep on with Saturday night. So we talked about Salzbrook Ian. You got the win there. That brought you really close to a magical number of $10 million for the year. And going into the fifth race, you were fifth with B2B, in which you needed $20 at that point to get you over the hump. B2B got you over the hump with a fifth place effort. The only thing that's kind of a little bit funny on that thing, though, is about halfway down the lane, it really looked like you were sailing and there was nobody going to catch you. And then all of a sudden, he kind of goes the other way. Now, obviously, or I think we're going to get a shot of this right now, James. Obviously, you kind of want to do that number with a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but still, it made the $10 million, whether it was 10 million and one or 10 million and 100,000, still it got to 10 million. Speak a little bit about $10 million, James, because this is a number that not many have got to.
Yeah, it was something I never really thought of before because in the mid 2000 teens, it was unheard of for a driver to get anywhere close to it. Like I think you or Chris were leading driver in the middle to late teens of the 2000s, and I think you guys were like 5, 6, 7 million, and that seemed to be the new norm. Like it was untouchable. And then, you know, Bob got to 7 the year he won the Hambo, and a few other people got a little higher, got close to that, and it never really thought much about it. And then last year, I remember that like I was pushing hard for 10. I got to 9.9, and it was a number that I don't generally think about accolades or stats, but
there's too much to think about.
Exactly.
Right.
And I remember in November I started saying, well, this is maybe doable, or maybe October, November, but it come up just short. And I remember saying to Paige, I said that would have been really cool because I know I'll never have a chance to do that again. You know,
And
that
then
was
the very next year.
And then it was just this year, and I got so hot late in the year, and I said I think I'm going to do it this year if I can just stay healthy and stay in the bike. Then I got a good shot, and so it's something I've been thinking about for a while and kind of pushing hard for, and just really proud of that giant number. I think you've done it once, yeah. So it's something really special to me, and I'll never forget.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work, a lot of driving to and forth from tracks, a lot of flying around, a lot of traveling, a lot of not being at home, a lot of nights in a hotel, you know, but it's now you can just kind of sit back and you're at that number. You said you were thinking about taking a vacation Wednesday?
Yeah, we're going to Costa Rica Wednesday. So, it's my brother Curtis's 40th birthday on the 18th.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
There's a big crew of us going, a lot of family, and it's gonna be a lot of fun for sure.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay, so now we go from Saturday night where it was hell. You do get that big number. You know, it wasn't one of your best nights, obviously. I think you had one win with Salzburg Ian or whatever. So now, instead of, you know, Sunday morning, it's a kind of a cold day. Instead of James laying in bed, getting ready to put on some football, looking after his health, I turn on the TV at 12:55, and James MacDonald's in London, driving in the Toys or Tots charity drive. So obviously, none of you guys made any money yesterday. Like, when do you have time to relax? And tell me a little bit about Toys for Tots. That must have been a really fun experience. I mean, you had 5 wins, you win the overall title. I love the fact that you guys, Team MacDonald, pulled it out in the last race. I mean, that was pretty good. So you had a great day, team title, individual title. Tell us a little bit about your day yesterday.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things. I'm sure you've done numerous driver challenges. They ask you early, and it always seems like a great idea, but late when it gets close, you're like, But you know, I've been lucky enough in this game and this business to make a great living driving horses. So anytime people ask to give back, I always try and always, if I can, do it and make sure, you know, no matter how much I'd love to sit on the couch by the fireplace and watch football, you know, like I said, I'm very fortunate, and it's always good when you can give back. London did a terrific job putting the show on Sunday afternoon yesterday. We had a great team event, a great group of guys. It was great to see Jason Ryan pull out the last and get it done for our team, because we were down 3 points getting into the last race. So that was really exciting, and it was. I felt like a cheerleader in the last. I was sitting 6, just a head turned there, watching to see how our team was doing. So, and even after the race, I wasn't sure because we were 1st and 3rd, but they were 2nd, 4th, and 5th. So I'm like, I don't know what's what. So definitely a fun day. A lot of fun was had by all of us, and a lot of money was raised for a great cause. So.
One other thing I'd like to throw at you. Now, I seen something for the very first time in my time in this business, and when it happened, it really, really startled me. In fact, I would say 2 seconds after it happened, I was texting your brother, Curtis. So let's take a look at what happened yesterday. That I've never seen this happen before, and maybe you can kind of give us a little after we listen. We're going to listen first. Here we go.
Mentioned a little bit earlier, we're going to try and link up with James MacDonald. There's James on our screen. He's out there on the track with the Ford Scarlet Dragon. James, how's it going so far?
It's going great. It's going great. I got to say, this is some pretty cool technology. Must be really cool for Chris. I think when he started driving, they just invented the telephone.
They asked me if we had to keep things on the rails, and I said yes. So I'm glad that you took the first shot. Chris, why don't you maybe have a bit of a rebuttal for James?
Look at him laughing at his own joke out there. Oh, that's great.
Why don't, now that we got him mic'd up, we can tell him, hey, man, there's a blind switch coming. You might want to move now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What happened that last race, bud?
I actually heard you guys talking about that, and you said lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was all
Extreme
about.
luck.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you, you had a great experience on the track, and I'm glad that you were able to, you know, hear what was being said there, because Greek and Bob, they weren't exactly being your friends after. See, now, this is the difference between me and Greek and Bob, okay? When I seen you, speaking of which just shoved his big nasal through the door, when I seen the move in the race that they were talking about there, where they were saying that you drove into a blind switch, I honestly thought it was a great drive. I thought that, you saved all that ground, you got out of the blind switch, but if you didn't get the blind switch, I don't even think you get a check, but you ended up finishing 4th. Now, was that not a great drive?
Yeah, I thought, it's like you said, some of your best drives, you never, they're for 3rds or 4ths or whatever, you never get credit for, but I could hear them because the way Curtis had it set up, it was a phone and then an earpod in my ear, so I could hear the show going on while I was in post parade and then waiting for them to call me on. So I could hear them kind of trash talk at me. So that's when I came on and they said, "I heard you guys say something about luck. That wasn't luck, just getting them going." Because Chris and Bob have a great sense of humor and they do a great job, and that's what I think people like to hear. Like, they like to hear, everyone doing a great job and doing it, but sometimes they like to see you dig at each other.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that all three of them, Bob, Chris, and Mark McKelvey, I thought that they ran the show fantastic. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Bob and Chris do a great job, and Mark McKelvey, you guys see it all the time here. He's just a true professional, and Woodbine and everywhere he works is lucky to have him because he's a great ambassador for the sport, and he's so well spoken. So he just takes the bull by the horns.
Yes, I completely agree with that too. Okay, so let's take a couple of more looks at some of the maybe some of the highlights from this season, because we are talking $10 million this year. So let's take a few looks. Say maybe Adair Castle. We could take a look at one of her wins this year. I think this is the Graduate. Tell us a little bit about Adair Castle, what she's meant to you.
She's just such a special mare. She always shows up. I kind of talk about her in the same way I talk about so much more. Like, she's not a real flashy individual. When you walk by her, she just stands there, minds her own business, doesn't look like much, and then she gets on the track and she's just a bear. Like, she when she gets to the lead, she's really tough to get by, and you race her off a helmet. She's got that big kick. Like, she's just a really special mare. Never puts a ripple in. Real pleasure to drive for sure.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Obviously looks very solid gated, but let's move on now, because we got another one. You brought up a name. You brought up a name that's really, really, is going to be associated with you for the rest of your life, and that's So Much More. And we got a replay too of So Much More this year when she won one of the free-for-alls. And this is the part that it's one thing for a mare to be dominant over mares. It's another thing for her to step in against the boys and do what she did. So tell us a little bit about So Much More, and maybe if you remember this race, first over in the boys.
Yeah, that's Salzbrook Victor, I believe, on the front, and she just, every time I've said it in interviews before, but every time someone seems to doubt her, it's like she comes up with this like Herculean effort, and that's just free for all against the boys and first over, and she just loves it. If she can keep her close to the pace and first over grinding, at the top of the stretch, the other one's gonna want to be really good on the front because she's gonna make you earn it. And most can't stick with her when she gets to looking them in the eye. And she's just been an absolute dream to drive and to talk about. And like you said, we'll always be synonymous with each other. And that's something I'm really proud of. She's probably the most consistent, greatest racehorse I've ever driven. So it's just a fun mare.
Yeah. Now, what about people? A lot of people did not know the name of Don Beatson before So Much More. Maybe Touch Lately won the job. That he's kept her great for how many years?
For years and years, yeah. But he's just to see the big smile on their faces every time she races. That's what it's all about. And I remember even a couple weeks ago, she was starting to kind of maybe look like she was trending down, and like I said, she always kind of bounces back, and that's. I remember I said to Don and Ken before, I said, are you guys planning on breeding her at some point? And they said, well, when she tells us that she's done, maybe we'll breed her. It might be this spring, And I just said to them, I was like, well, I hope you don't think she's done yet. And then that was the night she was in with Silver Label and Prohibition Legal, and she come first up and just got 49 and just a beast effort. So just an unbelievable horse, unbelievable connections, great people, and like I said, those smiles, and that's what it's all about in this game.
Quickly on So Much More, before we kind of move on to one of your other big wins today, quickly on So Much More, one of the things that I've noticed about her, and I've noticed it actually about a lot of not good horses, but great horses, she never seems like she wants to win by too much. She looks after herself. Now, I know a lot of that's you too, but to the same effect though too, she seems like she's a big part of that too. Like if she's on top and you're idling her down, she'll idle right down to let that horse up alongside. But so many times we've seen horses get up alongside of her that look like they were going to beat her, and she just keeps fighting. But yet if she's a length ahead, she'll relax.
Yeah, it's not me, it's her. I'd like to win by 10, but no, she's smart. She's so smart. When those nights she comes first up and clears, if you just let up on her and let her just like you said, throttle back, she'll let them get. You don't even have to ask her again. She'll let them get to her bridle and just keep them there. Like she's such a smart animal, and she's just been a thrill of a lifetime to sit behind her, and just see her following too. Everyone comes and sees her in the paddock, and some people bring her carrots, and like it's. She's just an amazing animal and been a lot of fun.
It's what harness racing should be.
Exactly. Everyone roots for the underdog, and everyone
small stable
likes to see cheer. She's got such a huge following because everyone cheers for Don, everyone cheers for Ken, everyone cheers for Cole, and everyone cheers for the little mare that could beating the giants, and she's just like I said, a thrill of a lifetime.
Okay, so let's move on now. One 2-year-old filly that came into your life this year. Give us a little bit of talk about It's a Love Thing.
It was kind of a funny story. Her first qualifier, I text Dave. I had a bunch of drives in the baby races to pick from, so I tried to do my homework as best I could. So I called Dave, what do you think of this filly? He said, I love her. I called Bob McIntosh. I said, oh, you got a filly in there. Dave loves his. He said, well, I love mine. So then I think I had 3, and I called, maybe it was Gallucci, and he was like, oh, mine's just okay. Like, don't feel free to go with the other one. So I called Dave, and I was like, I'm going with a couple of other years. I'm booking off a couple of Bobs. I'm going to go with Bob's. And he said, okay, whatever. If you got to do it, I'm really high on this one, but if you got to do it, you got to do it. So I get here in the morning, and I'm scratched off Bob's, and I'm on Dave's. And so I go to the paddock judge, and he said, yeah, Dave said you're taking his, and Bob already had a backup. I think Bob was down at his peeler, was the filly. So I said, oh, okay, like maybe Bob changed his mind, and maybe thought it was a different one. Anyway, so I go upstairs, and Dave said, well, Bob already had a backup, so I put you on mine. And I'm like, well, Dave, I already told you I'm taking the other one. So I went down, and they already had Bob's bike on the other one. And then, of course, the qualifier, It's a Love Thing ties up. And Peeler wins the qualifier by 10. And I'm mad at Dave. I'm like, come on, man. Like why would you do that to me? So sure enough, when you're lucky, you're lucky. She come back then a couple weeks later, went really well, and then started in the grassroots, won. Went to the Gold, won. Went to a Grand Circuit, won. And it was just it was a kind of a Cinderella story, and just to do it the way she did it, and she's a great lady, first over and grinding. I remember I heard you in the interview after, you were saying, well, I kind of thought James maybe had her in a bad spot, but I was just so confident going in. It's like I don't want the overdriver on the front and get beat, and I don't want to be in the 2-hole because I want to make sure I get out.
Right.
So I
give her a chance.
I just if I was first up, so be it. But I didn't want to be too far back or caught in. So I rolled the dice first up, and she was as good as advertised. She did all the work and just buried them that night. So it was a lot of fun.
Now, I don't know necessarily if we do have the replay on this one, but there's one other one, quick 2-year-old, that I'd like to throw out there quickly. Willie's Home Run.
Yeah, really, really good story. Again, she's a sister to Logan Park, and Rob and Kyle. They told me early on that they thought she was going to be a nice filly, and right from her first qualifier, she was, and then I think it was the smoke. She was supposed to qualify a second time, and it was when the smoke rolled in. And so she didn't. So then her first start, we just raced her way off the pace, but she was off like a 2-4 qualifier. Come flying home late, and then she just kept improving and getting better and better and better, and just had a phenomenal year. Logan had a terrific year. Team Fellows had a terrific year, and Willie's Home Run was just like a little cherry on top for sure.
Now, one other one, another 2-year-old. You've had a good year with the 2-year-olds this year. I want briefly for you to talk about Legendary Hanover. Now, this looked like he's going to definitely one of the top 2-year-olds out there this year. He went on a big roll here, win a lot of races in a row. I think we have the replay of Legendary Hanover winning the Champlain. Give us some thoughts on Legendary Hanover.
Oh, he was unbelievable. I remember talking to some friends after the baby qualifiers, and I'm sure anyone who has Casey on Facebook she was a little frustrated with me. I just took him to the back,
nice.
Went around, and
nice.
Well, you and I talked about it a lot when you were helping Casey. You know, like. She likes to win the qualifiers, but
we don't.
We don't. We like to do what's best for the horse, try and teach them. And he was a hot baby early on.
Oh, he was
early on, and
right.
And I ducked him that qualifier, and Tony was always great. You know, take care of him, and so I ducked him to the back. I went around, and he came a big back half, wiggling through horses, and I finished with a bow in his neck. And I told my friends, they said, "Oh, who do you like the best?" And I said, I've never qualified a horse as good as Legendary Hanover.
Wow.
I said he was incredible. He was and that was like a 6th place finish, you know, and then the next week he came out and went good again. And then he just kind of got on a roll. And Casey she was on board, race him off the pace, try and teach him, and he just kept getting better and better and bigger and stronger, and you know, he had a great year. Unfortunately, the Metro, I thought he was the best horse in the race, and Jody just drove so good. He just
true.
He just put me in such a bad spot, and that was the only difference. I think my horse was the best horse in the race. It's just sometimes, you know, it doesn't work out. Sometimes you look like a genius, and unfortunately, that race it wasn't my swan song for that night. But
sometimes you're the windshield, and sometimes
exactly,
you're the bug. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But really proud of Legendary Hanover. He's done big things. In the
you
future.
Should be, and I think you did a fantastic job with him.
Well,
I
thank
really
you very
do.
much,
You know,
Randy.
Okay. One other thing there, quickly, I wanted to ask you because we got to let you go here pretty soon. You got to go out and drive, go out and get cold. The colors. How did you come up with the colors? Like, I mean, I know Mark's blue and yellow, but Anthony's kind of a blue, red, white, maybe a navy. Like, how did you come up with? Are you just like a big fan of blue?
Yeah, I really like blue, but actually, for there was probably none, but any early James MacDonald fans, I used to have my throwback colors were the Anthony's diamond, you know, with all the lines and
right.
And except I wanted to incorporate both their colors, so I went with Anthony's design, but Mark's colors, blue, yellow, and white. And actually, Casey was one of the people in the first couple of years I was driving, and a few others. They said, "You're doing a great job, but we can't tell the difference on TV if it's Mark or if it's you or Anthony. Your
right.
color, because it was just like yellow piping."
Right.
They said you look the exact same. The colors look the same, and you know it's. So I decided that I probably needed to make a change, and that's we went with the diamonds. So I still kind of had Anthony's diamonds, but Mark's color, and it's kind of very similar to John Campbell's, and it's a I don't know, a nice design, and I really like it. So
yeah, and you are a big fan of blues. You've always been a big fan of blue.
Always been a big fan of blue. Yeah.
Really? Well, Anthony was good enough to actually say that yes, you were a big fan of blue because we got a picture of you. And I think this is the night that you're going to your prom, and you're ducking out and pretty good in blue there right now too.
Okay. This isn't the night I was going to my prom. I'd actually been in a hockey fight before our school grad pictures, so
right.
I didn't have any grad pictures. So my mom asked if I would put the gown on and take some pictures, and of course I was brilliant. I thought I should wear some white socks and some sneakers underneath it because I was a pretty styling young kid. The afro was kind of my signature look too, so I got some pretty bad photos to be ashamed of, but that's one of the top ones for sure.
And we can thank maybe Brother Anthony for that one.
Yeah, I gotta get some photos of him from Mom for sure, because I know he was not a beautiful child.
All right, well, James, listen, I mean, it was so nice of you to come in. I know you've been extremely busy. I don't know what your hobbies are, even if you got time for them, but I really appreciate you coming in. I just want to say too, from my point of view, I love the way that you drive out there. I think that this driver's colony is amazingly deep. Very, very talented, and you're just another one of those guys. I love your style, the way that you race your babies, the way that you don't overdo it in the morning and stuff like that. I think that's going to pay off for you and any connection that is associated with you. Very, very good down the road. So after that, we are going to let you go. We're going to take a look at some stats and standings, actually, from last week. If you can just stick around a couple of seconds longer. We're just going to do some stats and standing from thing. Let's see who's going to be on. Oh, Jesus, look at that. Wow, that's a doozy one.
Louis been red hot. Been red hot.
Yeah, Louis had an unbelievable week. 15 wins out of 48, 31%. But you know, you're not exactly, doing too bad yourself. 20. No. Anytime you can stay at 20%, you're having an unbelievable year.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And we, Jody come up with another big week. Tyler Borth, really fitting in well here.
Yeah, really, really nice guy and driving a horse phenomenally. He's got real hot on the B tracks the last couple of years, and I think I was one of the first to tell him. I was like, you're doing great. You're going to be a real top driver one day. And then sure enough, he's kicking my butt all the time.
Yeah, maybe. Another one I'm kind of impressed with this driver too is Trevor Henry. I always love seeing Trevor slide in there. He doesn't get the greatest of drives, but boy, oh boy, he can sure, make a lot of things happen with some subpar stock.
Oh, he's phenomenal. Trevor's been phenomenal for a lot of years, and anyone that's followed his career knows he can always pick one up off anyone. He's such a gifted driver, and he's going to be around probably for a lot more years.
And a great guy.
Oh, terrific guy. Never says a word after a race. Doesn't matter good or bad. He's just even Steven all the time.
Much like myself.
Very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, very similar. About as close as the initials. And we also had another good week out there. Our average for the last week was $11 for the win payout. And once again, for our week, our average ended up being over $2 million that Thursday night. Had a lot of long shots that night, but rest of it pretty stable. Okay, I'm going to let James MacDonald go out and press us tonight with some of his driving abilities. And again, James, I just want to say thank you very much for stopping in. Keep the year going the way that it's been going, and enjoy your vacation that's coming up. You certainly deserve it.
Thank you very much, Randy. I just want to say thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for teaching me all you taught me the years I was watching. I watched close. I watched you and Jody and Sylvan, those guys, and those are and Chris and so many other great drivers when I first came here, and you guys beat me up bad, but I watched close, and I really appreciate everything you guys did for me.
Well, thank you very much for saying that, too. I appreciate that. You remind me of Condren. That's who your style reminds me of, is Condren, and that's about as good a compliment as I can give.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so anyway, we're going to end this, and we'll be back with you in a